Good morning once again, and we continue the conversation right here on the Twitter Jabs 2 of the verification of the Administrative Units 2022. My name is Apollo Sarah once again, and joining me in studio is Mr. Paul Bukenya, and he's the spokesperson of the Electoral Commission. Good morning, sir.
Good morning to you, Sarah.
Thank you for joining me here on the show.
Good to be here on CTV. It's my first time to be in this studio. Looks great.
We're very excited to have you.
Looks great. Thank you for welcoming me.
All right.
Sure.
So in the Twitter Jabs 1, I gave a preamble and explained what the verification of the administrative units of 2022 is. But I would like for you to please, in case there's a viewer who has just tuned in right now, to explain to them what this exercise is and what it means.
Yeah. First, greetings from the Electoral Commission.
Yes.
And we are active. We're making some. We're already undertaking some activities of electoral nature, and right now what we're doing is the exercise that we call verification of administrative units. This is a very important exercise to us and to you who is out there. An administrative unit is a geographical area by name.
Yes.
We're in a village here.
Okay.
You could say CTV village.
All right.
That becomes an administrative unit. So when we talk about administrative units, we are talking about those basic units of leadership administration in our local government structure.
Yes.
And basically, we're talking about the village and the parish. Everyone in Uganda stays or resides within a village or a cell.
Yes.
When we're in urban centers, we call them cells. When we're in villages, we call them, well, when we're in rural areas, we call them villages. It's still the same. We all come from the village somewhere. So that's why the word cell maybe is not so much.
Exactly.
Yeah. So when we talk about administrative units, we're talking about a village.
All right.
And then the next level, which is a parish.
Yes.
In urban centers, we call them wards.
Okay.
In rural settings, we call them parishes.
All right.
But still, the word parish sounds more. We all know the word parish. So what we are doing is to go back and look at all the administrative units that we have in Uganda and resolve the issues around them. Now, that's what it means, verification.
Okay.
And confirm their particulars, so that, because we have upcoming elections.
All right.
And when you have upcoming elections that begin at the village level, you need to be sure that you've resolved all issues around the names of villages, the legality of villages. Are they established by law, or families sat together and say, this is now our village?
All right.
Is it recognized in the Ministry of Local Government? Are the boundaries okay? There's so many disputes about boundaries. So is it in the right place? Some villages some people have gone and settled in conservation areas. That's true. In wildlife reserves. And when you go to organize elections there, when you're planning to organize elections, you get issues with that. This is a gazetted wetland, this is a gazetted forest reserve, this is a gazetted wildlife reserve. You can't have a village here. Yes. And we get so many disputes, and it becomes complicated. Sometimes it can even result in violence. That's true. And court petitions and all that. So before we begin on conduct of the elections that are coming up, which I think I'll have opportunity to explain shortly, we've gone back to verify with the people the units and confirm them, and then compile a list for which we will organize and conduct the elections that are coming up.
All right. So what happens to the units that are illegal? Are they dissolved? Are they merged with already an existing one? So what happens to the people who have already somehow established themselves in those units?
Well, you can't, with the structures that you have now, you just can't create your own village.
Exactly.
The villages are created through procedures that are laid down in the Local Government Act. So there's a procedure for creation of a village. And so when we come across a village, and this is the purpose of verification, during the exercise, we will definitely recommend for removal a village which is not lawfully established.
All right.
And so that which is what you say, illegal. It will not. We cannot organize elections in an illegal entity or unit, because that is already illegal. And if for some reason somewhere an electoral process or a candidate is nominated, it can lead into to petition, complaints, and things like that. So that's why we are going back, and we already started, of course, yesterday. That's why we're going back and saying, let's review all the lists. Let's compare the databases. Let's study the notes
Yes.
that accompany the creation of each village and then confirm that they're Rachan, and then we roll out an electoral program that I think you'll allow me to talk about later.
All right. So how many administrative units do we have in Uganda in total at the moment?
Well, at the moment, administrative units, we have, let me take you from the largest unit.
You're right.
Basically, the largest unit is the district or
right.
city. It's a center of administration. It's a structure for administration. It's a structure for government. And we have 135 districts.
All right.
And then 11 cities.
Okay.
So when you put that together, you have 146 districts and cities across Uganda. Then we have some counties which are the next level. There are 2,211 sub-counties scattered across Uganda.
Yes.
And the sub-county is a local government. It's a structure.
Yes.
In the local government structure. Then we have parishes across the country. These parishes are wards. There are wards in the cities and parishes in the districts. And when you add them together, you have 10,680 parishes across the country.
Yes.
Now for villages, and this is why we are going for this exercise, the villages we have across the country are 70,512.
Yes.
So we're talking about, on our database, as it is right now at the Electoral Commission, we have 512 villages across the country. So we're saying, is this okay? Do all of them have what is needed? Are they established in law? Is there any issue around them before we organize elections? You have to go back and consult and compare notes and verify and confirm and create a final list for which you organize the elections. So that's where we are. That's the number of villages that we have in the country. And if you go back upwards, those are the administrative units.
So how will residents and other stakeholders access the list of verified administrative units?
Yeah, the verification process is participatory. Of course, there are technical aspects of it, where you sit in the office and go through the databases and compare databases with Ministry of Local Government, Electoral Commission, and all that. But when we come to the field, we have already started, because it started yesterday.
Yes.
We will be working closely with the district technical teams.
All right.
There's a chief administrative officer who presides, who leads, manages and administers local government issues. There are sub-county chiefs. They are what we call principal assistant secretaries and senior assistant secretaries. Each district and city has a district planner. These are the people who work around the district, manage issues and affairs within the district, and they plan for it. They know the units. We're going to work with them.
Yes.
That's part of the public that we are engaging here. We've already sent out messages to stakeholders.
Okay.
We send out messages to political parties so that they know what we are doing, because political parties eventually will send candidates from these units for nomination. So we already alerted them. In other words, we have made an arrangement. The existing units are accessible in each and every district and city.
Okay.
We've made it public at the district level.
So
of course, later on, there will be a closer center, which is the sub-counter, where we will have a display of the verified list. So the public can access it.
Okay. So what is the role of members of the public in this exercise? What is their role in this? How can they participate in it?
Well, they do have a role. First of all, if they have issues, they have a big role. When we organized, and maybe that's why I can explain that we are doing this because we are making preparations for organizing women councils and committees elections, which are coming up between June and August this year.
Okay.
And then we're also making arrangements for organizing administrative units elections, and by that we mean LC1 and LT2, which are coming up in 2023, July. So it is of interest to every member of the public. When we organized these elections in 2018, we had some problems that we encountered. There were disputes about the legality of some of these units. no, this unit is not established in law. We cannot allow you to have elections here. Things like that.
Yes.
Other issues went even to court. There are disputes about boundaries. There are disputes about names.
Yes.
There are disputes about location. No, our village is located in Nakawa Parish. No, it is in Kamocha Parish.
Yes.
And then there are all those things. I think we're right now here, we are now in Nakawa Parish. They say, no, it is in Mutungo Parish. So you see what I'm talking about?
Yes.
So there were issues about location, and then of course the obvious one that I talked about. This is a road reserve. This is a wildlife conservation. So the public raised those issues at that time in 2018. We worked with them and to resolve those issues. Some of them remained unresolved and went up to court.
Right.
So right now there is a role. If you know that your village has an issue, first of all, know your village.
Exactly.
There are people who don't know their villages.
Yes.
Know your village. It's very important. You're going to register for national ID. You want to process a passport. There is a new format. There is a new passport that is being issued to Ugandans, and I see long lines of people lining up there. And then you need to know your village. You need to know the parish where you're located. Things like that. For all intentions and purposes, you need to know that. So there's a role. There's a responsibility to know. Then if there's an issue, to bring it up. This is the time to bring up issues, but also to support the processes and to accept the result.
Okay.
Because after such processes, the complaints come up.
Yes.
Even when everything has been done in accordance with the law, you find that some people are still not satisfied. So there's a role to understand what we are doing. The Electoral Commission has not come to create new villages. We don't create villages. That's not our work.
Okay.
So we've come to verify and confirm so that we can organize elections. And your role is to support the process.
Absolutely. So briefly explain or tell us the key dates of verification. You said it started yesterday. It's going on until the 26th of March. So briefly explain on the key dates and where people can go and, properly verify.
Basically, we started in February. This activity started in February and goes up to May. Our last date is May 13th.
This year?
Yeah.
All right.
But the field activity is what we started on yesterday.
Okay.
So these other activities have been done at technical level.
All right.
Because, you can't involve everyone in some aspects of this work.
Yes.
Like, comparing databases. What does Electoral Commission have? What does the Ministry of Local Government have? What do other agencies? There are other agencies that work with communities and they have databases and they do all these things. What is the information that exists at NIRA?
Yes.
National Identification and Registration Authority. UBOS is another data institution agency, very, very big data.
Yes.
So comparing a few things and working with them started as early as February. Now the key dates where we are right now, of course, is the field verification, which is 17th to 26th. It's 10 days. We've done day one.
Okay. And
the work is progressing well. Where we want the public to really come out now in very big numbers is during the display of the lists that we have harmonized.
Yes.
Because after us going out to each district, meeting with the technical people, I've told you the cow is the supervisor of all the district activities, and they pay people that work out there, so they know we have so many parishes, we have so many sub-counties, town councils, municipalities, municipal divisions. We're going to be working with them to ascertain that detail. The cow, the district planner, the local council leaders, the sub-county chiefs, and our own election supervisors. Okay. That's the team that's going to do this work. Now, after they have agreed on a list, we're going to display it to give what we call natural justice. And we have planned to do that between 11th April to 20th April. That's a key date where members of the public will be able to access the lists and the sub-counties and then raise any objection. If the objection against inclusion or exclusion, you could say that our detail is omitted. It's not on the list. Or you could say, no, you cannot include that one. It has a problem like this. Right. So that's when we can have the public come in and stamp their approval or even raise their objections. Of course, we will use other platforms where these lists can be accessed, like the digital platforms. But the unit, the place where we are going to display the lists is the sub-county.
Right.
We will also have shared this with political parties. Political
Right.
parties are very key. They need to look at this and, you know, through their structures, work with us to make sure that when we come to organize elections, we're organizing them for units that have been verified and confirmed and approved and can have legal basis and
Yes.
can have representation.
All right.
Yeah.
So if anybody's administrative unit has not been verified, they'll not be able to vote.
No,
And campaigns will not be able to
we
be held
can't.
in that area.
A unit that is not confirmed as legal will not present it for nomination of a candidate.
Okay.
So when you don't have a candidate to nominate there will definitely be no campaigns and there will be no elections.
Oh, wow.
So if your village, if you created your village in a law, in a manner that is inconsistent with the law, then we can't recognize it on our system and we can't prepare for it to nominate. We cannot organize elections for a non-entity in law.
Yes.
We cannot organize elections for something that, for a unit that is not recognized in law. That would be illegal.
Okay.
And you will not be a recognized leader.
All right. So now let's talk about the women councils and committees elections. Please tell us more about that.
The reason we are doing the verification at this level is to lay ground for organizing and conduct of women councils elections.
All right.
Women councils and committees are established by law. They're established by the National Women Councils Act.
Yes.
And they have structures that start from the village and progress up to the national level.
Yes.
So we are organizing those elections between the month of June and August this year.
All right.
Their term of office is 4 years,
Okay.
unlike the others who have 5 years.
The ones who were voted in 2018
So
have 5 years.
they have 4 years and the 4 years are expiring in August 2022.
Yes.
So we have released a detailed program for organizing and conducting these elections starting in June 10th
Yes.
with registration of residents, women who reside in the villages.
All right.
So that program will then go through various processes up to the election of the National Women Council in August, on August 24th and 23rd, 23rd and 24th. So the program is already laid out. But before we go into that, that's why we are doing the confirmation
Yes.
and verification, because the villages for which we are going to organize the women councils and committees elections must be recognized in law. And that's why we are going to reconcile any issues and resolve them so that we have a harmonized list for these elections. But we've released the detailed guidelines, and I'll be glad to answer a few questions around that.
Exactly. 2 questions. Number 1, what's the mandate of women councils and committees? And number 2, who is eligible to stand for this position?
What's the mandate?
Yes, what is their mandate? Because we have been having this conversation, but we have not really answered this question
sure.
of what their mandate is. So what is it?
Yeah. Women councils and committees elections are established by law. They are a level of representation. You know, in our constitution, the constitution provided for representation of all groups and what we call special interest groups.
Yes.
And if you recall, if you remember very well, we have special interest groups. We have women, of course,
Okay.
as a group that is represented from the village up to parliament.
Yes.
And then there is persons with disabilities. We have older persons. They also come from the village up. Other levels, we have, did I say youth?
No, you
I think
didn't.
I've not said youth.
Yes.
The youth also come from the village up. They have youth councils and committees.
All right.
Then we have workers. The workers don't progress through these other structures. They come through registered unions.
All right.
So theirs is a bit different, but yeah, workers are represented at local government and in parliament.
Yes.
Then we have, of course, another special interest group is UPDF, that is also represented in parliament. Okay, but to go back to these ones, now to women, they are represented from the village. There's a structure for women councils, and the council brings together all women in the village. Then they elect the executive committee. That's why we're talking about women councils and committees from the village level. Now their mandate is to, relates to, is to provide the leadership concerning women issues, to mobilize women and to address issues related to women, and to form the structure for their representation. Because, you know, the chairperson of the women council at the village automatically becomes the woman, you know, the secretary for women affairs on LC1.
Yes.
Automatically becomes the woman secretary for women affairs on LC1.
Yes.
So then the other issues that they do, their structure allows for development programs to be channeled along through women, like the women entrepreneurship programs, other working with the government organizations, private sector, civil society, and all that. It's all structured through that.
Yes.
May not be able to break down everything. We may need to get someone from the National Women Council to tell us more.
Yes.
My job is to organize their elections.
Yes.
Like we always say, we are midwives.
Yes.
You come in, we deliver the baby, and then now you go, you are the one who gives the name, you're the one to buy the milk, you're the one to do everything else.
We'll leave you with all that information.
So, but basically it's a structure that allows women to be represented from the grassroots level to come to the parish, sub-county, and they used to channel their development agenda.
Yes.
And their political and socio-economic development,
yes,
as provided for under the National Women Councils Act.
All right. So who is eligible to stand for this? Now,
the Village Women Council comprises of all women who are 18 years and above and who are willing to register to be part of that council.
Yes.
So a village is a unit. All women who are in that village,
yes,
are eligible to be registered to comprise the council.
Okay.
For purposes of elections, we register. You cannot have elections without a register.
True.
And the law tells us that all those who are willing and present themselves for registrations, they become members of the council.
Yes.
And it is the council that elects the committee by lining up. So it's an electoral college. It's an exclusive. You will not find the Kenya poll in the village women council.
Yes.
You know, okay. And so those who are eligible are Ugandan citizens of 18 years and above, and they are women, they are female, and they are resident in that particular village, and they are willing and have presented themselves to register for purposes of these elections.
All right.
Yes.
Well, it is said it was in a series of tweets on the Electoral Commission that the chairperson, that is Justice Simon Biabakama, I beg your pardon. Yes, thank you. He did say that you would not be pulling from the national voters registry, but will be creating another voters registry. Why is that so?
For special interest groups, we create their register.
Okay. Because
administrative unit elections are not general elections.
Okay.
They are not organized under general elections. General elections are the elections we organize and conduct after the term of office to fill positions that become vacant after the expiry of the term of office. President, Parliament, and local governments. I've told you local governments from the district, city, municipality, municipal division, town councils, up to the sub-county. Those are local governments.
Yes.
Then the administrative units, LC1 and LT2, and elections at this level, like women councils elections, we use residence registers because administrative units take the village as the polling station.
Okay.
For purposes of administrative units, each village is a polling station.
All right.
So we compile a register of residents who are willing to participate in that particular special interest group.
Okay.
So for that matter, we will not use the National Voters Register. The National Voters Register is compiled based on the parish.
Okay.
So you could be here and Apollo, you are in Nakawa division, you are in a Nakawa parish.
Yes.
You can be registered and your particulars will appear at any polling station in Nakawa parish.
Okay.
The basis is the parish. You can be registered for voting at a polling station located within a parish. But when it comes to, that means the parish is the basis for registration. where you reside or where you originate from.
Okay.
Now, for purposes of these elections, we use the village as the basis for registration.
Yes.
And so we can't use the National Voters Register. The National Voters Register has people who have registered. I may register in I reside in Nakawa, but I vote from Mityana.
Okay.
Which is my place of origin.
Is that allowed?
It's allowed in law. For general elections, when you're compiling the National Voters Register, we say you're eligible for registration at a polling station within a parish of your origin or your place of residence.
Okay.
So I could say I reside in Nakawa, okay, but I want to vote from my place of origin.
Yes.
So you say my preferred polling station should be in my parish, within my parish of origin.
Yes.
So that's the difference. But for purposes of these elections, you must participate. It is residence-based.
Okay.
So that means that it is not illegal for you, you registered in Mityana, let me use that example, which is your place of origin.
Yes.
But for purposes of these elections, you're a resident in Nakawa Parish, and so you've decided to register in CTV Village, which is in Nakawa Parish.
Okay.
It is allowed because these are two different registers. So youth have the village residence register, older persons have a village residence register, and women have a village residence register. Then, of course, eventually when we come for national elections, we use the National Voters Register.
Okay.
Yeah.
But aren't there instances where people end up voting twice when they are registered in? How do you keep track? And how do you ensure that the person has only registered once?
Of course, now for these elections,
Yes.
these are elections by lining up.
Yeah.
You really need to work so hard to finish voting here, then maybe you run to another village somewhere and line up again. I don't think it's worth it all. But for purposes of the National Voters Register, we've employed and deployed technologies that help
Yes.
us to identify duplicates.
Okay.
To identify duplicates, you can only be registered in one polling station.
Yes.
So if you attempt to register again in another polling station, because now this is a biometric-based register now. You know, the
Okay.
National Voters Register has your photo, it has your fingerprints. You will be detected. And that's why we also involve the public in this. When we display the register, we say, come out. Have you identified someone who does not belong here?
Yes.
And things like that. So it's something that we work on together using both technology and then stakeholder support.
All right.
And of course appealing to the conscience, the morality of people that, you know, why do you want to get in trouble? Because registering twice is an offense, and attempting to vote twice more than once is of course an offense in
All
the
right.
laws of Uganda.
Yes.
And it can be penalized harshly.
Okay.
Yeah.
I understand. So lastly, my last question before I ask you for any closing remarks. It's also said that the LC1 and LT2 elections will be taking place next year. Why is that so? Why so far away? And have there been any particular dates set for this?
Yeah, the LC1 elections were organized and conducted in July 2018.
Yes.
And their term is 5 years. And it expires in July 2023.
Yes.
So we've already started on programming for them. First of all, by what we're doing.
Okay.
And then the budgeting processes and all that. Their term is 5 years, and we've indicated it is predictable. For all those officers whose term is 5 years, you know that have come in office in July 2018, July 2023, the term of office expires. And
Yes.
that's the message we've sent out. And on our part as Electoral Commission, we've started doing our organizations internally, and the detailed roadmap will be released.
Okay.
The LC1 roadmap has not yet been released because we are starting on it this coming financial year,
All right.
which starts after June, and then we will release it and start doing some preparatory activities. Although this one also feeds into that.
All right. Yeah. Okay, so before I let you go, any closing remarks that you'd like to share with our viewer?
Sure. I think our viewers need to know that verified and harmonized lists of administrative area units are very important to all of us. They're going to be helpful to you as you apply for a passport, because when they enter in the system and you find a non-existing village, you will be questioned, you will be set aside. But also, this exercise is very important for other agencies of government that use your data. The National Identification and Registration Authority, of course, Uganda Bureau of Statistics, and you know, the civil society organizations that are doing development work in the communities, government departments, ministries and agencies, and of course us as the Electoral Commission. But above all, I think you need to work with us. It's important to work with us because when you have a harmonized list, then we're able to organize and conduct smooth elections, especially for women councils, which are drawing near, and then later on the administrative units elections, and then the general elections, which are also coming. They are not far.
Exactly.
Yes, yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Paul Bukenya, for joining me today.
Oh, welcome.
Thank you so much. It was an honor to meet you, and thank you for honoring our invitation to join us right here on the Twitter Jabs on Sunrise at Sea. And there you had it. It is very important for you to verify your administrative unit because it is important. You will need this information. You will need this when general elections come in and all the other elections come in place. You will not be able to vote or to participate or to even represent your administrative unit if it has not been verified by the Electoral Commission. Well, that is all I had for you on this segment of the Twitter Jabs. But keep watching Sunrise at Sea because we have more lined up for you. Good morning.